What's going on? What's going on? We live once again. Shout out to all the subscribers and supporters here for the Greg Said It channel. One second here. As you see, the title for the day, could the Colorado Buffaloes be a legit Big 12 contender? And I thought about this for a couple of reasons. Like, I think one of the things that I guess as we get closer to the spring, it becomes a bigger conversation point, because we're no longer in the talks about who's coming and who's leaving right now. At least we're going to kind of enter that conversation after the spring. But I think one of the biggest things right now is kind of settling in on people know really what we have now. And they starting to dissect and analyze. We see different people, different channels, depending on their specialty, do film breakdown on players. We don't quite know what they're going to do here because we can't always base what they did on their last team, what they're going to do here. But we kind of have an idea of their strengths, their weaknesses, and how they would help contribute to the team. That's all we have right now. I know a lot of people, feel whatever way about that. But I think all we have right now is last season. All we have right now is last season for Colorado. All we have right now is last season for the players. But it kind of gives us at least a conversation point that we're able to assess on what can Colorado possibly do, right? So right now we legit estimate, and that's fine. I mean, that's what we do. That's what quote unquote fans do for the teams. So when we look at, I guess as we get deeper into it and we kind of know what we're going against right now, I can tell you it's three teams that were at the Big 12 last year, and that was Oklahoma State, who still left behind. Oklahoma and Texas had left, went to the SEC. So we have Oklahoma State, who was in the championship. They couldn't quite bring it to Texas. Texas was tough, right? And then we have Kansas State, maybe in that second. And we have, I think they may also mention Kansas as a potential. And we have Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and then, Kansas may be somebody who come in, sneak in, Texas Tech, depending on where you catch them at. But we also have our new arrivals coming in, and that's Arizona and Utah, who come from the Pac-12 with us, who, as we know, they beat Colorado. So I think the biggest thing that we have to consider is what gaps have we filled in? Like, have we filled in any gaps that can possibly justify why Colorado should be able to compete? What's going on, Big Worm? And, how do we justify it? I mean, outside of our hype, a lot of people call people super fans and all of that because people just go off emotion. And it's room for that for some people. But for people who really want to get into the conversation and have a real solid, conversation about it, I think that we should get into that. So I kind of brought in, a couple categories from my standpoint, which I typically do during the season, like the good, bad, and ugly. I have a couple categories, and y'all chime in. Feel free to chime. There we go. Feel free to chime in. Yes, O-line gaps. So, with that, let's go ahead and start the conversation. I got three categories. I have the strengths, the weaknesses, and the unknown. So since we start in here, let's start with the weaknesses of Colorado. Since people say we don't really talk about our team's weaknesses and we are blind to it and oblivious, clearly we do. And everybody can't handle that. But let's see. We know what happened last year. We talked a lot about last year. Now let's look at what we have this year and what are the potential strengths, weaknesses, and unknowns. So let's start with the weaknesses. We're going to start with that. I consider one of the weaknesses that Colorado have, because the situation they're in, not always personnel, but let's say they have a new offensive coordinator, okay? A new offensive coordinator, and a lot of people will say they don't really respect what he's done because he's been doing it for a long time. He's done it at the pro level, he's done it at the college level, and he had some streaks of good. So let's say he's inconsistent, Pat Shermer. And a lot of people didn't like. Some people had some good things he did, like in Minnesota, certain places, and then he had some bad times. He's even been a head coach. So, a lot of people doubt what he can do because he's just not some bona fide guy, at least at the college level. And he's never really, he's done some good things as an offense coordinator. But I think some of his worst times he had was as a head coach. So that's really two different things. So I believe that because he's new, technically, even though he was there last year, and that's another thing that people will use against him is he was all of that. He was the analyst. He was really giving the data. Why couldn't he have a positive impact last season? That's what people are saying. So he's questioned a lot because he was there with Sean Lewis, and even when Sean Lewis kind of had to step aside, when he stepped in, they didn't necessarily have a dominant offense. I mean, and I don't know how we would expect it because he really couldn't implement everything new because his team had to start over. He's already taken over that role, a dual role, and he still had to consider Sean Lewis to some extent. He had some kind of influence there, even if his presence was there. And we hear a lot about the division that was taking place. So we don't know how much impact he could really have. He had some loyalties. You see that some of the players left with him, some of the linemen and players and coaches. So I don't know how much impact he really legit could have, but needless to say, he's a new offensive coordinator, and he has to, it's not like a guy who has been installed in his offense in the last 2-3 seasons. He has new offensive linemen have to learn it. He has new receivers who some here now, some coming in after the spring and in the summer. So they have some things working against them with this new install, and they're not going to really lay it on thick in the spring because one, they don't want to risk everybody knowing what they're going to do. So we're not going to really see a lot, especially in like the spring game and stuff like that. And I thought even well off be willing to show a lot of stuff because they're going to be very protected this year. Not going to give nobody advantage to see them coming. So that's one like I consider that a negative, a weakness, that your coordinator is new and a lot of your key players and your quarterback's not new, great, but most of your line is new. Some of your key receivers coming in is new, some of them not, and you got a new O-line coach, so the chemistry component is going to be an ongoing thing that we got to really consider because we seen the impact of chemistry last year. That's one thing we did see, and that was one of my concerns. And then we also have a new DC. So we're having a new DC. It's the same situation, but even worse because the DC wasn't here at all last year. He's also just getting there, so it don't really count a lot because you're not really there with the players right now. But he's new to everything. He's new to the environment. He's getting himself settled, and he's doing it in a quick pace so he can be ready for the spring. But he's brand spanking new. He don't come in with a staff. He's inheriting the staff. That could be a weakness. It all depends on how they handle it. So, new DC, new OC in the same year. That could be a red flag. It depends on and yeah, I mean you could say that too. We can add that too. Daniel said new receiver coach. Thing about Phillips is he's a new coach. His only positive is that he's worked with Coach Prime before in that staff. And most of that staff came with him from Colorado. So a lot of these guys work with him in Jackson State. Phillips he was there that first year, that first full season. I think he was there that COVID season and maybe that first full season. I don't think he was there that second season. So, when they went undefeated, I think he had already gone. But he was there with most of those guys. So, and he has a relationship. He played with Coach Prime. So that's he has a little more leadway, but he's not the play caller. He's not responsible for the whole offense. He's not responsible for putting the scheme in place in totality. There's less weight on him. So, transition is going to be easier for him. I'm ready to hit first spring practice March 18th. Yeah, this thing's right around the corner. And, the thing is, I seen how Bucky did it last time. I really see him not really showing a lot. Like he might show snippets and cut out like he did. He's not going to show people's weaknesses. This y'all can already see that somebody getting beat, or what they got beat on. That's like an advantage to, I guess, the other team. So he's not going to show like stuff to show the weaknesses of that offensive line or the weaknesses of that defense. He's just not gonna do it. So he gonna tease us with that. So we're not gonna have the same level of access, I believe, this year. I just don't. And for good reasons. I mean, because they live and learn, and they know everybody watching them, and they know how the teams are using it against them. We probably gonna get just a lot more personality and behind the scenes, which we probably should, and less intel on what the players' strengths and weaknesses are. We probably even have less intel on who's starting or not. So what he do show, I think it'll be very selective and very limited. And so I don't even want to get my hopes up on that. I just let y'all know that in advance. A lot of the stuff we used to seeing, we probably won't see as much. Probably get a little taste of it. I guess he'll decide what to put out there. But they could definitely cut back. And so that's a good one though. Wide receiver coaches also new, and we also gonna add offensive line coaches also new. And like I said, that he's gonna have to have chemistry with a new OC who he's never worked with, and they gotta have that on both sides of the ball because none of them brought a staff, not even a position coach with them, because the position coaches were already here, so they had to take what was already here. And the thing about the new DC, he's last coming, so he's had no input on who's going to be hired. Like, think about if you're already there, you can sit on the committee, you can sit in on the interviews to decide if who you want, how your input to see who's a good fit for what you're doing. His defensive line, Coach Dancy's already there, Coach Hart's already there, Coach Matthews already there, and he's of course Sapp's coming. And that's always a good thing, but personality's got to miss. Coach Sapp, Warren Sapp is a different kind of dude. His personality is different. You got to understand him, know him, and give him his space, know his strength, know his weaknesses. And when you have dudes like that, you got to just like the players need to hang out, the coaches need to hang out, because it's an intense thing. That's why coaches are fighting and literally fighting and going back and forth, because you got different egos, different personalities, and they clash a lot of times. So they really got to get to know each other and respect each other, just like the players do. And I know Coach Prime do the meetings and stuff, but they really need to get to know each other on a personal level and know each other's strengths and weaknesses and have that respect for each other to coach with each other the same way as the players, because they're new as well. So anything y'all see as well, those are my weaknesses. I do have a lot of unknowns that y'all may call weaknesses, but I'm gonna explain to you why they are considered unknowns. So with that, we're gonna get into the strengths. I feel like the strengths are definitely number one and foremost, the quarterback, considered the best quarterback in this class coming out, probably the number one, number two guy out of the draft, Shedeur Sanders. Not only is because he's the quarterback, but he's proven he's the leader. He's proven the leader of offense. He's proven he can throw the balls. No more FCS boy. Prove yourself. He's proven it. He did it with a horrible line. He did it with injuries. And for the most of the season, he was up there leading and battling for the number one spot in passing yards, touchdowns, and completion and ratings, and just the overall QB rating. He's always in the top with the horrible line. So that tells you how much ceiling he has with the line being where they need to be. He's also the coach's son who understands how things should work and leads in that aspect. He's a brand, he's a personality, and he's built for it. He's built with the idea that he's not fazed by pressure. He's not fazed by celebrity. He's not fazed by hype. He's been around his whole life. He was born into it. Somebody left a comment here about Coach Hart. I'm not comfortable with Coach Hart. His debts and Matthews, I don't think they're developing the linebacker. CB's right. But I'm gonna give them a clean slate this year and how they perform in the second season. I think that's fair. I don't know why Coach Matthews wouldn't. I think they just need to do a better job with the personnel decisions, and maybe the defense coordinator can have a lot of hand do that. Maybe he can be more hands-on. They kind of operated like they didn't have relationships last year, because it's like when you're on a team with somebody, you're scared to say something to somebody because you don't know how they're gonna take it, or you don't want to deal with the issues and the drama, right? You also see that with the coaches, like, his friction, you kind of pull away from it versus take it head on when you have a relationship with a person. You can talk to them and you have rapport. And Mathis, I don't know why he wouldn't be able to bring something to the table, because he played at the highest level. He can at least bring them the skill set and the training that they need, especially guys who want to go to the next level. Coach Hart, now I would be more in agreement with that, because I can't understand why the linebackers are so unfundamental. I'm not saying they're the only one. I see a lot of teams, linebackers just run like they blind as a bat. They just run right into the hole before they even read. They not even got to be tricked by misdirection. They're just gambling. And I know that's coaching, or else I wouldn't have you out there. I can teach you how to read, even at the high school level, how to read, how to know what to look for. Um, Coach Hart's gonna have to show up, because if he don't, he put Coach Prime. Everybody's gonna have to show up this year, because if he doesn't show up, he's gonna put Coach Prime and this team in a situation where people are gonna highly question. It's really not that hard. Like I said, I played linebacker, and at the age they're at, the only challenge they should really be having is schemes and playbook. But the fundamentals of linebackers should not be how to read, what to read, how to read the guards, how to read the tackles, how to read defense. Read the offense. That's something you should already have at this level, and that comes from quality coaching and training, and even from high school. And the fact that you made it to this level, maybe you was a raw talent. So then it comes into Coach Hart. You got all this film, and that if you're not ready to read it, you need to be on the bench. If you don't know how to read, run from pass, you need to be on the bench. And you're not going to tell me nobody not do. I don't care if I have to put an undersized guy out there and a freshman who coming in like a Garcia, and he need to put on weight. If he go to the right hole, I don't care if he 160 pounds. It's better than a 230-pound linebacker who in the wrong hole. So, if you can't coach it, you better recruit it. But, I don't understand why he don't. Yeah. They got enough guys, and there's no excuse. You got Weber coming in, Wester coming in. Then you have a couple guys who were there last year who you let some bench. They say decent. They should have been getting trained. Then you bringing in some young guys, some couple freshmen in. They say they gonna have to develop. That's fine. But I all that, just have somebody who go to the right hole. That's the first problem. If you got 3 people in one hole leaving truck size holes because you're not managing your gaps, that's just straight coaching. Like, you're not even getting blocked into the wrong gap. You just running into the wrong gap, or you reading the wrong, you running through the B gap and the ball going to the C. Like, or you overrunning and going to the C and come up the B. It's no excuse for that. Read, see where the ball going, and approach it like that. That's coaching. That's training. I drill that all day. So that I agree with that. But back to what I was saying about the strengths. The strength is definitely quarterback. His IQ is higher than everyone else. Um, his skill set is above college level. He's an NFL quarterback. And then we'll get to see at what level quarterback he is there. But he's definitely, over, miles over the average quarterback at the college level. He came in as a freshman with a high IQ as a quarterback. So, we seen him as a junior ready for the NFL. Now he's a senior. It's no question. All they got to do is protect him. And there's no excuse with that. So I'm expecting that line coach to really have some things in place and have the right personnel there, because you got the pieces there. You develop your depth, so if it's injuries. But as long as he ain't running for his life and getting hit every play, they're gonna have a problem with him. And that's the beauty of having it. Seems like Rob Livingston is gonna have his hand on coaching the players this season. He's talking at that gathering they had Friday. I haven't seen that gathering yet. I'm trying to see. I don't know if it was on Well Off or something like that. He's definitely going to be. I would expect him to be hands-on because he's a position coach. So it's not like he's a career coordinator who just came from another coordinator position, and he's just kind of jumping around. He's a guy who all he knows is how to be hands-on. So that's the beauty of it. And he can bring that aspect to a coordinator that's even better. And the fact that I guess he'll be working with the safeties too, that was a benefit because he was a safeties coach, and the head coach usually work with another group. So DBs cover, so safeties that make them even better. It's a lot of upside to that, and that could even possibly be considered a strength, being that his weakness is the fact he's a new coordinator. Literally, he's a new coordinator to the Colorado team. He's a new coordinator to college. He's a new coordinator, period. I don't think he's ever been a coordinator. Only if he's been a high school coordinator. So that's a negative. But the positive is, okay, he is a coordinator who specializes in working with safeties. And his safety and his group in the defense, the secondary, is probably one of the strongest groups on the team. So that's a good thing. Also, another positive is that the receiver core. Now I know we got a lot of new receivers coming in, but the receiver core has a lot of depth and a lot of weapons. I mean, when you got Shepard, even though I think he's coming later, that's not the best thing, but it's not the worst. He's going to be coming later, and after spring, you have Timmons. I think I'm not sure if he's there or not. You also have who else coming in? Russell. I think he's not there yet. Baby To down at TCU. So you have a lot of guys that's coming in that's going to bring, but you also have returning the Omarion Millers, the Travis Hunters, the Jimmy Horns. You have Wester's already there, getting work in the slot. Who else we have? We have a nice group of other talent. So you right there, you have a lot of depth. I named 3-4 that's not there. 4, and that's not included some of the other guys like the freshman coming in. What's my freshman name? Just slipped my mind. I actually got 2 freshmen. We got Miller, and then you have Draylon Miller, and then you have, I don't know why I want to call him. I slipped the other freshman, Mikhail. So you got 2 very talented freshmen coming in on top of that. And I'm gonna tell you that Vic Miller, little baby, we got here. Yeah, Cam McHale. We got a little baby. What's my guy name from 49ers? Everything's slipping my head right now. Debo Samuels. And he bringing that component. These guys can even slide in the backfield and be another receiver / running back and throw the defense off. If they use these pieces you really got more than you need. From veterans, from 1-year guys to future, guys in the offense. So that receiving core is special because you got some guys who really can get in the backfield and help out with the running game, run some jet sweep. And I mean, they're especially Miller, big size guy. But can run. He can run over you and run. Probably one of the faster receivers outside of Horn. And I don't know. We'll see when these freshmen get in there. And then you also have let me see. We need just a few more Louis luggage. Haven't even unpacked the semi luggage you have. Yeah, I mean, and that's what we get into, I think, because there are clear strengths. We always talk about the positives, clear positives, and he has some negatives or some weaknesses. And this is my category for the unknowns, right? These are the unknowns. Maybe different categories for you. The online quality is still up in the air. Well, of course, we have some key pieces. We have Myers come in. We have Benson, Johnson. Those guys running together, hanging out. We have Walker at the center, and we need that depth there. As we've seen last year, centers can get hurt, get rolled up, ankles, and all of that. Linemen in general. Then, we had Seaton come in. And he's a young guy. And then, we still have Connor there from last year. I think he didn't play much last year, injured or whatever. So we have a couple guys returning, Savion Washington, Connor, and they looking to prove themselves. But at the same time, it's depth. It's depth. You probably want 3 guys at each position, honestly, because you just don't know what happened. We've seen weird stuff happen where the starter go down, the backup go down too. Now you down to a little baby in third. You just don't. You want some depth because people do get hurt, and they might have to go out for some plays or some quarters or some games or some weeks. And you don't want your team to kind of go and then go QB getting hit again, and you got holes and they're exploiting your holes. So offensive line quality, I don't know. You tell me. Do y'all think you still need a guy who's really able to maybe some more alignment? I know a lot of people say that. I don't know. I think also the run defense is a thing that keeps sneaking back up. The run defense keeps sneaking back up into the conversation. Like we got a nice, and we almost can say a strength. It's unknown. We can add that to unknown. Edge rushers. We got a nice smorgasbord of guys with experience and some younger guys. Got another couple of years, and got some guys who got the out in and out. And you have those guys who proven. So the edge rushing definitely gonna be better. The ends definitely gonna be better. Even Colts have been able to slide back out there. I think the unknown would be the run defense. People want a little more beef. I know we brought Carter in. He's a little more beef. We got Shadozi. Everybody loves Shadozi. He's proven to clog it up. And we may even be able to throw who else we have? Carter, Shadozi, and I know we have O'Neal. And we had another one from last year that I don't know why I want to say Simmons, but we have a couple guys from last year that can get in there, and then we brought in a couple more. I don't know if maybe we need one or two more pieces on that interior in that tackle position for depth. So all I had no beef last year. Yeah, they were lean. They were lean, but it just wasn't athletic and aggressive. There's nothing wrong being lean, but be athletic and aggressive. He said big fats. There's something Big 21. Just hope we go in a year not trying to help prove number two. He's going to play the team strength. Let the O-line better at run blocking. And then that was another thing that I had in the unknown is the running game. The running game could be a lot of things. It depends on that OC and it depends on that line. I mean, of course, we know a healthy McCaskill. Everybody's living off what he did his first year. He haven't played in a couple of years at this point. But everybody knows what he's capable of when he's healthy. I don't know how much they want to put on him. I hope his knee should be good and well. He's going to have to recover. We know what kind of runner he could be. But then we also have, if they use Dylan Edwards the right way, we know what he could do. We seen what he can do at TSU. They didn't use him no more like that. And we said, well, he didn't do nothing since, but you didn't use him like that. You didn't get him open field. You was using like a regular running back. You didn't create special packages. There's no excuse this whole offseason for them not to figure out some packages to use Dylan Edwards and get him out there and put some fear in the hearts of the linebackers and make them corners have to come up, have to think they got to come up to help out and leave our passing game open with some play action. I mean, his speed, he can run past your screens through little cracks, and he should be faster and strong. He's bigger. He's running track, so he has more things going for him now. So they should definitely use him. There's no excuse. You got a whole offseason, and what he's able to do. What his strengths are. So that depends on how they use him. It also depends on Savion Wilkinson. He runs hard. And people don't know he has some breakaway. He can run too. He's just not some old slow running back. He can run too to get open field. He has some bursts of speed in him. I mean, you look at it, go look at it, do a film breakdown on what he's able. A lot of people sleep on Savion. Maybe they try to water down the level he played on. He's always been a D1 running back. He played in the MEAC, played in the SWAC. And he was underestimated in the SWAC and missed the first few games and still almost was the top runner in the SWAC after missing a couple games and splitting runs with another running back for pretty much the first half of the season until he became the premier running back. Same position. Running at 16. Actually, I believe the opposite. This is exactly what this defense needs. And I think we talked about it. positionless defense is what's going to make Colorado probably one of the most dangerous defenses in the Pac-12. Not Pac-12, Big 12. Nobody's going to be confused. They just better get in that playbook. But what a positionless defense looks like is you can line everybody up like they was doing with kind of like UCLA. You can line everybody up on that line. Yeah. I mean, it allows everybody to kind of be standing up, and you don't know who's blitzing, who's the linebacker, who's the edge rusher, and then they do twists and they can do all kinds of stunts. And the guy from the outside can end up being on the inside. You can put the defensive tackle on the outside, and then he can twist to the inside. I mean, it's in the way it's set up. Why that is perfect because you have people like Shane Coates, who was a tackle last year, who really should have been, and on the end, and now you can line them up as a tackle again, but really he the end, and they don't know, and then they switch at the last minute with the stunts and all that. So you already have the personnel of guys who really can play multiple positions. You have people like Wade, who's coming in, who's the size of a linebacker, but he's also edge rusher. So you can line him up as a linebacker and have an extra edge rusher because he has the skills of an edge rusher. And you have those guys who's able to play multiple positions. And so it's confusing to offensive line to know who coming and who going. I mean, you have a guy who can be over the nose, look like he coming, and then drop back in middle coverage. They don't have no choice because that's the defense he's running. That's the defense. That's not a scheme. That is the defense. His defense, and they did it at Cincinnati successfully without the personnel. Yeah, it's you got to understand this defense is very prolific. This defense gave Pat Mahomes a hard time. So imagine you see when this is a more advanced version of what teams was doing to Shador. They was doing the Shador. When they were standing up and the line was going and blocking the air and letting people run right through there, and everybody was standing up. This is the very same defense, but even more advanced because the safeties are getting involved. Now you can bring Shiloh up, bring them in the box, and these guys they got robbers and all of that sent out there. You don't know what they sent out there for, but really they sent out there for the underneath route, so they can try that underneath route stuff and they're gonna get their head knocked off because they got people sent out there like a pirate just waiting for underneath routes. That's his only job. He's watching for that in the quarterback, and they can address it and adjust it to scheme, which is definitely supposed to happen on defense and definitely supposed to happen at the college level. They're going to be able to adjust that defense and customize it week by week to who they're playing against. So they'll be adjusted to that quarterback who does a lot of running, which you're going to run into with a couple teams, or you're going to run into teams that run on a lot of the personnel can come in and you won't know if it's a pass or run defense. I'm just gonna put it like that. And you need that because when you go against teams who's gonna be running a lot of ball and running a lot, they need to know they can still easily, if you want to pass it, we still could be in pass defense at the same time. And yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are really doing a good job, man. Some guys emerging, and as the season go, who knows what can come up. But you look right here, yeah, sure, Sean Temple offense, slow it down, and see the thing about last year was the referees was slowing the tempo down. They was holding the ball, and then they wasn't giving Colorado the same time to get on off the field, but they would hold the ball and it slowed that tempo up. So the tempo was irrelevant. Then you had those TV games, it was commercials every 5 seconds. So that tempo was irrelevant. Yeah, so I think that they'll appreciate it, Jen and Jay. It's an unknown, Jen. It's an unknown. So like I said, I can't put it as a strength. It's an unknown how the corner's going to play. Like it's an unknown who's going to be the other corner. It could go either way. I'm leaning more towards positive than negative on how he's going to run his defense because I know the potential of it. The negatives, like you said, is they acting like they don't have no sense and don't know how to run the defense. And if that's the case, then you're going to have a lot of errors and it'll be chaotic. But it's all about alignment and assignment and defense anyway. And if we figure out, I think we less likely to have an issue at corner than McKinney is there. Because if Kamani slip up and Cooper slip up, McKinney is going to probably step in there and lock it down. I think they have less room for error. I think they have less room for error. Yeah, and that's just defense in general. I don't think it's more complicated than last year with Coach Kelly, but I think that it's to their benefit. It's to their benefit. The type of personnel. I think I saw somebody say something. Looks like, look, that sound good about Trevor Woods. If Trevor Woods behind on how to read, he gonna have to get gone. We don't have time for people running like just airheads just running through the wrong hole, full speed, running past the play, running the play going somewhere else. You running over there, or you. If you're gonna be a linebacker, we don't have room for linebackers who can't read. I don't care. Like I said, I put that boy Garcia in there and put him in that freshman because he can read. I don't see the film. I don't care how small he is. I don't care if he's 205. Put him in there because he can read. He can read. And he'll make doggone Coach Hart look good because Coach Hart ain't teaching nothing somewhere along the line. Some off, or he got the wrong guys in. Hey, I put McKinney in because nobody got time to experiment again. Nobody got time for you to be not knowing how to do basic, is he telling you don't let nobody go across your face? Don't let them go across your face. And I don't know, doggone, I don't know why the linebacker ain't sitting underneath them routes, especially don't throw it 20 times in a row. I pick them to sleep. You know it's coming every week. I mean, I sit up underneath that thing and pick it off. We designed it that way in practice. I got picks off, sent up on the quick slant team. Okay, quick slant me, I'm gonna jump right up on there and pick it. I'm sit right up on. I'm just gonna just float right up under it. So that's an easy fix, especially you got a so-called athletic linebacker with Trevor Woods. I don't know who calls the penalties. I don't know if it's the coordinator. I don't know if it's the linebacker. I saw D lineman come in. I don't know, but I know it happened a lot. Sometimes it was so. It's like fell in the fire drill. Like that's like stuff you don't see that often. But to see it happen multiple times of games, is either conspiracy going on or somebody needs to be fired. That's what I say. And because I never seen, nobody get so many 12-man penalties. I can tell you. And like I said, we wasn't paying attention to that. There's so many things to look at, But I think the biggest thing is figuring out who the personnel are going to be, and also figure out, what type of scheme matches who you're going to play against. What type of scheme matches? I think what type of scheme matches your personnel. Also, what type of scheme matches per team. That's the best bet, because if we're not implementing those, if the defense is not implemented correctly, you got a problem. The wrong people in, you got a problem. I mean, you have so many situations that could throw this thing left, and it will put all the pressure on Shedeur. And I don't want to see here goes Superman Shedeur every game. It just doesn't make sense to be in that situation, trying to go to a bunch of overtimes because you're trying to make up for defensive deficits. Because it makes no sense that I score 40 points and almost 40 points every game, and I'm in a shootout every week. It doesn't make sense. Even with that raggedy line, he was putting up them points. So that defense could have helped out a lot, especially in the beginning when they were winning, but they didn't. Now it seemed like to me they got better towards the end, and then the offense kind of fell off. But if the defense doesn't really step up, then they can put their offense in a bad situation to have to score more, and then they should. Because I think they were averaging almost 40 points a game that first part of the season, and they still had a couple overtimes. They still barely win it. So that defense definitely is a key piece, and it's going to be an indicator of where the season's going to go. Now, the beauty is, like we said, that defense can be a problem for most offenses, especially rookie quarterbacks. Like you're going to see some freshman quarterbacks like in Nebraska and things like that. If you run into that, they're not going to be able to read this defense. If you got a guy who's just really not that skilled, and like I said, everybody's not Shador. Everybody's not able to really read like that and make adjustments like that on the spot. And a whole bunch of guys moving around, they standing up. You don't know who to tackle, who to end, and then they step back at the last minute or they come at the last minute. Offensive line got to figure that out, and the quarterback is not able to help. That's going to be a problem. So that's what's going to make, and I think they can make. And the reason why I feel like they could make a dangerous Colorado defense, because you got people like Shiloh who can come in blitzing, and come in coverage, and you can bring, people like what's my guy name out there? You can bring Silman Craig from the outside. You can bring other nickels. They can blitz or they can stay, because if they figure out you're a running team, they can blitz more. And you won't know it because it looked like they blitzing anyway. You can put 7 people in the box and it look like they all on the line of scrimmage, and you don't know who the secondary, who blitzing, and not. And what they gonna do? So you really can put teams in a situation where week to week you're not as predictable, because from play to play you don't know who coming. It's not a tendency thing. It's not, they gonna all sit back. We got underneath routes all day. You don't know who's finna drop back in coverage. Different guys can drop back in coverage, and you have the personnel to be able to do that because you got a lot of undersized linebackers. You got undersized D linemen who could be a linebacker on a hybrid between linebacker and defensive end. You got people like Jeremiah Browns who used to be an edge rusher and came here now as a linebacker. You have the Wades who's an edge rusher, 250, but he can drop back and be in coverage like almost like an outside back nickel. He's athletic enough to do that. You have the same thing with some of the other guys who can drop back, who's athletic enough to drop back. Wiggins, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm sure BJ can do it. And what is his name? I would mess his name up. Okola from Pitt. These are lean, athletic guys. They can drop back in coverage, and they can be just as dangerous. So now you don't know if they're coming or going. Then he got plays where they can actually decide if they see that they're going to be blocked, they can drop back into the middle and pick the ball off. So they can even make, and that's going to take more skill. That's going to take more training to know, should I blitz or should I not? He's going to give them that option at times. But yeah, Trevor Woods should be able to get on the field if he learn how to read, because he's a safety playing linebacker. So he can definitely be a guy who can look like he blitzing and drop back in the coverage. And he's tall. But if he's not going to be knowing how to read on the run, or I don't see why he didn't have a couple interceptions, because he was in the game where he was slanting right where he was at. He looking in the backfield. So I'm looking at the running back, then come out the backfield. It don't matter. You know they throwing a slant. The first thing first, I'm gonna watch the slant, because they showed the tendency. Your IQ got to work for something. I got to jump that route. I still can see that running back. He ain't came out the backfield yet. You stalling to worry about he came out the backfield and the slant already done took place. Cheat on over there. Cheat. Act like you're gonna be over there. Run over there. They're so stiff, and that's not going to happen in Livingston's defense. They're gonna be moving around to confuse you. They already know where they're gonna go. You ain't got to stand still. So he's freeing them up to not. When you say positionless, he's freeing them up to, they know where they gotta be, but they can disguise themselves to look like they're gonna be somewhere else. They can line up on the outside and then run over here to the inside, or they're gonna be on the inside and run over there to the outside at the last minute. And you won't know until they say hut and they take off. But they lined up. They could be lined up over the guard, and their job may be the flats, and they can just take off running to the flats on the snap. And you can think, oh, shut the flats wide open. And he lets you know he there. So that disguise is going to be powerful if these boys do it right. It's going to allow people who are undersized or hybrid to be able to be on the field and not be able to be objectified and taken advantage of and schemed upon. Because you can't scheme me when you don't know where I'm going to be. You can't scheme me when you don't know where I'm going to be. Think about that. If you don't know where I'm going to be, you can't scheme me. If you know, oh, that guy that's going to be sent over there on that island, he's a sorry tackler, he got slow feet, he can't read, we can pick on him. But if I'm not moving around, you can't scheme on me because I can be back there over here from play to play. Travis definitely does that because he has the lead way to do it and he has the sense to do it. That's why he's able to pick the balls because he's baiting. So anybody can do it. Imagine a bunch of Travis Hunters on the field. He actually has the IQ. But imagine a bunch of Travis Hunters on the field that's moving around and then jumping routes. That's what positionless defense allows you to do. Positionless defense allows you to line up over here and then run over there real quick, knowing the ball can be over there. Knowing you don't watch enough film to know he's a little freshman, he don't know nothing. His read, I know what you're gonna read, so I want you to throw it out there. So I'm gonna line up over here, and then on a hut, I'm gonna run over there real quick. You remember he did that at TCU. I mean, that's how I say it again at TCU. Travis Hunter act like he was over here worried about one guy, and he knew the running back was coming out in the backfield, and he jumped that route because he knew that was the read. He knew it was designed to bait him in and let that running back go out. So he faked like gonna be, and he jumped that route over there, boom, and dove and caught that ball. That's a bait. Travis got at least 2 interceptions like that, and I think he only had 3. But I know he dropped about 3. If Travis Hunter could not drop some of those interceptions, I don't know what the game would different would be, but I know his stats would be significantly different. He's a sure-handed guy, but and most of the time he was diving for the ball. And we seen he get a couple taken from him. But imagine guys able to look like they're somewhere else all the time. Cornerbacks and safeties. Safety look like he up in the box, and then he take off and go back into the deep third. You don't know what they're going to do. And it'll take a whole lot of film watching. Then you add to the fact that I'm going to change my scheme from week to week to adjust to your tendencies. So you definitely can't scheme on me because I'm going to customize this week. I'm gonna make everything look according to what we need to do against you. And what you tend to do. Do you tend to use your tight end more? Do you tend to want to put your tight end in the middle of the field? Do you tend to want to do a lot of jet sweeping or whatever? So I put 7 guys on the box. That jet sweep stuff dead. Do you have the tendency to want to do a lot of drag routes? Your tendency is going to be exposed. And you definitely should have a secondary this year because you have a defensive coordinator who his whole career has been a secondary coach in the NFL. I mean, his whole career has been, safety coach and things like that. So, for the most part, most of his career, I can't say his whole, but that's his thing. So he knows how the secondary should look, and he knows how the secondary should look in this defense. So expect a very different looking safety group because the safety group really is going to thrive in this defense. The safety group is going to really be able to get down and get dirty. All them safeties we got, we're going to be able to use them now and use them to their advantage instead of putting them in the open field and have to tackle a 230-pound running back in the open field going through a freight train hole size run hole. Bring them up close enough to seal those gaps. And they're going to be like kamikaze. You're going to see Simon Craig, Slush, Shiloh. I think Vito might get in there. And I know they put Stockmar back there. He's a bigger safety. And he like to come up and hit. So you really going to be able to. And I hope that they're smart enough to put the right guys in the red zone. Don't have little bitty Simon Craig on the goal line defense. Put the bigger safety in there. Put the taller safety so they won't be just dropping balls right over his head. Know how to use people when and where. That's going to be the difference. That little things like that, you got the personnel, you still have Travis J there. A lot of people haven't been mentioning him. He should be healthy. He's recovering the same way McCaskill did. Travis J is going to be there. So He's a bigger size safety. He's athletic. As long as his knee and everything's good, he's a guy. I'd rather put him in the red zone because he's bigger and he has instincts. I'm not trying to put him in open field, running downfield corner, running one-on-one like they exposed him on Oregon. They had him one-on-one against the number one receiver, top draft pick, and he was there. He just wasn't fully healthy. And I mean, he didn't just get burned, but he wasn't fully mobile. So he able to run man to man with that guy. Surely he can come in as safety. That was that corner on the island. So use those guys. Put those bigger guys in the red zone who can come up and hit. Take Silman Craig out of there, or put him in a different position. You know, it's gonna be based off of those type things. But we don't hit the strengths, the weaknesses, the unknowns, and we will see, like Jen said. But I just want to say, what will we be a legit contender based off of these things? I think they definitely could be a legit contender if our weaknesses is kind of fixed up, not become blatant weaknesses. And I think also, if our unknowns become knowns, if there's more unknowns that not become strengths, if the offensive line is actually legit, if the running game becomes absolutely legit, those unknowns are shored up, then you definitely looking at a team who could be probably a lot better than we can imagine, probably a lot better than we can predict. It could be a Cinderella type year if that is the case, or it can be the team who just go barrel over 500 and everybody's all the time they fell short. These pieces that we talked about is going to determine that. These pieces are going to determine how this season shaped up. Of a whole bunch, you don't want to have a whole bunch of more games that you say we was the close and we lost. We lost by 3. How you doing, Shirley? You don't want to have a whole bunch of games saying we lost by 3 or we lost by 7. We lost 5 games by 7 or less. These are the things that's going to determine how if you're going to win those close games. We know you can lose close games. You just lost 8 games last year, and 6 of them was pretty much by a touchdown. So that excuse can't go. So you know what you need to do to get over that hump. You hit to my Arizona and all of that. Arizona barely beat you with your problems. There's not a threat. And I think Utah is severely overrated. And I think they give Cam Rising way more credit than he should have, especially he's not proven what he's going to be after he's injured. But I don't think Utah is that kind of team. They're not the University of Georgia. They're not Texas. They are not that kind of team. They had just got in the Pac-12. They ain't been Power 5 that long. But everybody act like they're a juggernaut. I think they have more to prove than not. But with that, I'm going to let y'all go a few minutes early. I didn't know I was going to be here this long. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Greg said it. Check out the videos we have throughout the week. We always do this at the end of the week, typically on Sunday. It's live here. We also do the inspiration, motivation, later on Sunday. Make sure y'all catch that, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and check out our sponsors and our affiliates in the description box. Appreciate y'all time. Y'all have a good rest of your Sunday and weekend.